Hi guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. We're here for another one of our mass making sessions, and I thought what we could do today is mass make some of Gayle Agostinelli's faux front envelopes. So this was a video that she did quite some time ago, and I've been wanting to try it, and obviously, you know, like with all these things, you kind of then forget about it and it goes into your favourites list and on your list of things to try, and then you don't end up getting around to it. So I just stumbled across it again at the weekend and I thought, let's make those. So I haven't ever made one before. This is going to be a first for me. So let's fingers crossed that it's actually going to kind of go okay. So what I've brought along some of those scraps that I put underneath my desk recently in the Tidy Friday, you know, that I was keeping kind of the scraps. I'm ensuring that all of the papers that I'm going to use are either double-sided, or where they're not double-sided, I'm not going to be using them for the fold out. So this will come clear when we kind of, you know, come to actually make the envelopes. So they're my scraps, and I've also brought along obviously some digis, which again I've either printed double-sided, or they are coffee dyed pieces, or you know, they're either double-sided or coffee dyed. So I've got a bunch of things here ready to use. And then what I've also brought along is some envelopes. These are all smaller size envelopes. They are kind of like 6 by, are they? Yep. 3, well, about 5.5 by, where's the side, about 4.5. So they're sort of irregular size envelopes, I would say. And then I've got these gorgeous buff coloured ones that I received in Happy Mail as well, which are slightly bigger but very, very similar size. So those are the envelopes that I'm going to be using. I've then got my bone folder. I've obviously got my glue, scissors, glue spreader. I think that's probably it, except for maybe a circle punch for if we're going to do little tabs. I think that's everything. So yeah, let's get making them. So as I say, I have not made one of these before, so fingers crossed it's going to not be a disaster, because that would be slightly embarrassing. Right, let's move these out the way. Okay, so what you want to do first of all, oh look, these have got this nice inlay inside. I can't see what that says. Oh, yeah, no, I can't see what that says. I don't know whether any of you guys can see, but yeah, I definitely can't. Right, so I haven't coffee dyed any of these. Now in an ideal world I would have coffee dyed them, but obviously I just wasn't that organised. I kind of decided on this at the weekend, and yeah, I just haven't had time to coffee dye any, but that's fine. Hopefully they're going to be fine anyway. So for instance this, I mean, I've been hoarding this little scrap of paper for the longest time because it is absolutely gorgeous. But I'm going to use this. Now what we're going to be trying to do is make like an opening sort of flap bit on the front of our envelope. So you want to make sure your envelope's up the right way is the first thing. And then you're going to cut your pieces down. Now, let me just see. Okay, right. So I'm going to cut this down here. Now I always find this easiest to just kind of fold it approximately where it needs cutting, and then do it like that. Now, also Gayle, I noticed she made sort of hinged bits. I don't think I'm going to bother doing that unless my paper's very flimsy. I think I'm just going to fold the paper over. I don't know whether there was a specific reason for making the hinges, and maybe I will live to regret this and kind of think, oh, that's why she made the hinges. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm going to just kind of go for it and just literally fold the edges over. So let me just decide. Yeah, those flowers are kind of that way up, aren't they? Okay, yeah. So I'm just going to literally fold that over like that to make my hinge. So I'll just then squash that down with my bone folder. Like that. Okay. So that will go there, and then what I want to do is make a little bit here that this is going to tuck under. And then she made some gorgeous little tabs that kind of, you know, helped it tuck here. So in this one, or on this particular, oh, look at that gorgeous print. That's just such a shame. Unless I do it sort of contrasting like that. Because what I was thinking was I would do them both in this paper and then have the tab contrasting. But look at how gorgeous all those florals are. I don't think I can bring myself to cover those up. Yeah. Okay, right. Okay, I will go for this. I'm cutting into this paper. My gosh, I've been holding it for a long time. And I'm going to bin this. I know, it's titchy. Why am I making a fuss? But honestly, you know what it's like if you've been hoarding something for a long time. It's really hard to part with even just the tiniest little bit. So then I'm going to just make my tab. Again, I think Gayle possibly, you know, she had that whale tail punch. So, I mean, of course, if you've got that, that's, you know, probably even better. But, you know, these little tabs that we've made before, these are going to be, well, hopefully they're going to be just as good. Obviously, as I say, I haven't made these before, so who knows? They might be rubbish, but hopefully they're going to be just as good. And then I probably want to make it slightly smaller, so I'm just going to trim that down like that. Okay. And obviously, you know, this is going to depend how big your envelopes are. If your envelopes are slightly bigger, then you may want a slightly bigger, you know, tab. I'm actually going to use my oval punch, and this oval is 2.5 by 1.9 centimetres, if you can see that. It's quite a tiny oval, and actually I have to say, when I first got this, I actually nearly sent it back because I thought, ooh, I don't know what I would use that for. The oval's so tiny. But actually I've used it quite a few times, so it's proved to be quite handy. And when I'm just using it for these tabs, it's quite good. I mean, obviously I would normally use that circle, but these are quite good because where it's an oval, they're slightly elongated, very, you know, very slight. And of course you do not need to have an oval punch. You can more than easily, you know, manage with your circle punch. Right. So here, as you can see, I am going to then just attach this onto here, but I might just cut that down slightly so as I get a bit more of that texty edge. So let's just see. Okay, I'm just going to trim this down slightly. Let's hope I haven't cut it too small now, or else I'll be regretting not measuring that and being a bit more accurate. Okay. And then I'm just going to glue my little tab piece in the middle. So just glue that on. I've topped my glue up and everything. So hopefully we're going to be glue trouble-free today. Or gluing trouble-free today. And yeah, hopefully it's all going to go well. I want to have it this way round with that rose there. So let's try and get it in the texty part. And I guess we don't want it too big, because otherwise, of course, it's not going to be, you know, very easy to tuck it in. So, because this is the place where we're tucking our flap. So, like that. Okay. Okie dokie. As I say, I mean, in an ideal world, I would have actually coffee dyed the envelopes, but, you know, I just didn't get around to it. So I'm just going to ink those up. Let me hope my blendy tool. So I'll just ink it up a little bit. And I might as well ink the front and the back, just because it's probably easier to ink the back before I get it quite bumpy and lumpy with all the bits on the front. So we'll just ink that up like that, and then we'll just go around the back and do the same like that. Oops. Okay, and then we're just going to go inside here. I'm not making a very good job of inking this. I am screwing the envelope up a few times, but never mind. Okie dokie. Right, there we go. And we're going to glue this down, and we're going to glue this down. So what I'm going to do is glue my flap down first, I think, because then I know where to glue my other piece down. So I'm going to glue this down. This does need trimming. I don't know whether you noticed, but it was actually overhanging the envelope slightly. Again, that's just, you know, I find it easier to just kind of place it in place and then trim it down rather than, I mean, obviously in an ideal world I would have got it completely accurately. But you see where I've just got that little bit there, I will just go along and just trim that down now. Okay, I mean, it really was barely too long or barely too tall, but just a tiny weeny bit. Okay, like that. And then, so again, just mop my glue up from the inside. As I say, I mean, Gayle did use separate hinges. I have just, you know, merely folded my paper over. I mean, that's just because I find that really easy to do. So I'm just being lazy. But, you know, if you wanted to make separate hinges, then obviously that's, you know, that would work fine too, because that's how she did hers. So then I'm just going to glue this section down here, and obviously it then just tucks straight away into my little tab area. So I'm going to glue around here onto the envelope itself, and then I know, you know, I've got the glue in the right place. She, I noticed, did leave hers like this rather than glue all over, so that if she wanted to tuck in anything into here, then you can. So just then have it like that. You could have it in the middle, you could have it, you know, at the bottom, however you like, really. So perhaps we'll do some, you know, some and some. We'll do some here and some down the bottom. So again, just press that down, just turn it over. Okay. Wow, I only just had enough to cover there. I know I was joking when I said, oh, let's hope I don't cut it down, but if you look, I was very close to not having enough. And then I'm just going to snip that along there, just along here as well, and then along this piece here. And that's my little faux front envelope, and then obviously this piece just lifts out underneath this little tab here. Aren't they just so gorgeous? I absolutely love them. So I mean, you know, totally not my idea, completely inspired by Gayle Agostinelli. So I mean, Gayle, if you ever stumble across my video, then I just want to say thank you so much. What a brilliant idea. These are absolutely gorgeous and really nice and simple. You know, they look really impressive, and you know, they're just my type of thing because they're, you know, they're easily doable. So that's my first one. I will make another one with you guys, and then I'll obviously, you know, kind of be quiet and we can just relax and do some crafting. So that's the first one. So let's bring in a second one. So again, I'm doing just going to use this paper, which, you know, was another piece of the scraps that I've kind of had under my desk. So I'm just deciding, yeah, I think what I'll do is cut it down here. Like that. And then I'm just going to kind of use the envelope as a bit of a template to get it sort of the right height for the envelope. Like that, okay. Yeah. It's a bit weird because that butterfly is upside down, which makes me feel like the paper is upside down, but the paper is actually up the right way. You know, for me, I find that a little bit rubbish, having the butterfly kind of that way up, but, you know, never mind. So I'm just going to now fold this down here. Again, just squish it down with my bone folder. Okay, so again, I'm just using that as my, you know, my hinge. So I'm just going to now, oops, again, just ink up my envelopes, or envelope. And again, I mean, it would probably be much more efficient to do this kind of more assembly line, as in ink all of my envelopes, then cut all of my pieces, then glue them all down and things. So I might do that after I just show you this one. I might kind of do it a bit more assembly line-ish. I'll probably forget. I probably won't, because I will just forget that I've said that. and I'll be so busy chatting that I'll forget what I said that I was going to do. Right, so I'm going to have this one this time this way round, just, you know, just so as we've done a different one. And again, I'm just going to glue it down, and then I will obviously trim around it. But I'm going to just make this slightly smaller because you can probably see it's a little bit, you know, long for the envelope. Otherwise, I'm not going to have much area for my end piece, you know, for tucking it in. I might even have to make it even smaller still. Okay. And then I'm just going to take a bit more of the paper. So again, I might as well use this. Just going to trim that down. Like that. Which of course that is now upside down. Does it matter? Kind of does, doesn't it? Which is annoying because now I have to try and cut that a bit straighter. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to just make a little tab for the closure. Again, I'm just going to make it out of this same paper, but from the back piece, I think. So it's then just kind of in the pink. Although that looks quite boring actually, so perhaps I will do it this side after all. Okay, squish that down, just chop down my sides. I mean, I have got a bunch of tabs that I've ready made, but you know, these are rather cute because then you can have kind of matching tabs or coordinating with like the back of the paper and things like that. So I'll just use these, you know, we'll make them as we go. Okie dokie. I'm going to have loads of little triangles everywhere after this project. I have to clear up. Right, trying to keep on top of my mess, you see, as I go. Right, so we're going to just have the piece on here. And obviously, because I haven't cut that straight, I just need to kind of work out roughly where it's going to be in the middle. Like I say, I mean, they don't really have to be in the middle. You know, you could have them kind of at one end. I mean, it might be a bit trickier than from a closing point of view because you might get the other end wanting to pop up. But, you know, hopefully they'd work okay. So just check that that looks more or less in the middle. Yep, okay, right, so let's glue this down. Like this. Okay, and just press that down like that. Okay, and just then dab up the glue that's coming out. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim along here. Like that. And then we can take our tab piece. Just checking that that's glued nicely down. Okay, and then we're just going to obviously glue this. I'm just going to do it the same where I just glue around the edge. Again, so that, you know, if I want to tuck anything in there, then it's also a little pocket as well. So it's like multi-purpose. So, yeah, just like that. And then just obviously press that down with the glue. Catch any that's seeping out. Okay. And then I'll just trim those off. Like that. And like that. Aren't they just so gorgeous? Oh, honestly, I have been meaning to make these for the longest time, and so pleased that I'm finally doing it because they're really super cute. So that's another one. Okay, so I will probably just be quiet now. Well, not be quiet, obviously, but you know, I'll not really talk you through another one unless I do something drastically different, which I doubt is very likely. And we can just relax into it, have a chat, have a nice time doing a few mass making of these. So I'll just put that to one side. So as I say, I'm going to just maybe assembly style a few. So I'm just going to ink up these 3 envelopes. I mean, I might not really get many more done other than these 3 because obviously, you know, they're a little bit time consuming. You know, because there's quite a few little elements. You've got to do the inking, you've got to, I mean, obviously if you have got coffee dyed envelopes, then that would be quicker because maybe you wouldn't have to ink them. You then have to make the tabs and things like that. So yeah, I might not really get many more done than this anyway, but we'll see. So I hope everyone's having a good week. I mean, as you know, I film these generally on a Monday. So, yep, today's Monday, ready to upload them on the Tuesday. So, I mean, it's very, very early days in the week. But you guys obviously are a little bit more into your week than I am. So I hope it's going well so far. Are you all ready for Christmas? I'm still not ready. I have started my Christmas shopping now, which, yeah, that's kind of a little bit further ahead than I was obviously last week. So, I've done a little bit, not too much, but yeah, I've bought quite a few things so far for my daughter, and I bought 1 or 2 things for my sons. My middle son, he's still debating what he would like. I think I maybe mentioned before, but there was a pair of trainers that he really would like, but they're so expensive. So he's a little bit torn because obviously he would just get those trainers really. Or he could maybe get a cheaper pair of trainers and, you know, maybe a top as well or something like that. So he's debating, does he like them enough to be literally his one and only present? And I don't think he's really liking them that much, to be honest. The fact that he's not come straight back saying, oh yes, you know, I do want them, says to me maybe he's not so keen as he thinks. So hopefully he'll decide not to bother with those. Well, I mean, it's up to him obviously, but it just seems an incredible, you know, waste to me. It seems an incredible waste to spend all that on just 1 pair of trainers, but you know, I mean, having said that, they're certainly not the dearest trainers because, wow, I can't believe it. When I went shopping, I just thought, oh, well, you know, when I went to the physical shops, I thought, well, I'll just have a look and see if I can see the ones that he wants in the shops. They maybe, you know, might be on offer. And they weren't. They didn't have them in the shop. But, oh, the ones in the shops, actually, some of them were even more expensive. So, yeah, mind boggles, to be honest. Absolutely crazy amounts for trainers. I mean, you know, in fairness, I mean, kids do wear trainers every single day, don't they? And, I mean, obviously not to school, but, you know, outside of school, they kind of live in their trainers. So it's not like they're not getting good use out of them or anything, but they are a lot of money, I think. So, yeah, I might use a printable now because I have bought some of these along as well. So let me just have a look and see what I think might look quite pretty. I mean, I've got lots of these double-sided because I double-sided them up for last week's video and then obviously didn't get around to using them, so I could use some of those. So these are my Claridge's papers. I haven't used these yet myself. Let's just have a look. Trying to decide which one. Oh, I think I backed the backs. Yeah, pretty much the same on all of them. So it's just a case of finding one that's going to look really pretty on the front. Unless I went for the plainer side on the front. yeah, anyway, and my eldest son, he has decided to go for, he wants to go up and see a stand-up show, you know, like a stand-up comedy show. So he's booked tickets to go and see, who's he booked? I think it's Russell Howard. He's booked tickets to go and see him. So it's not until April. So he's going to go and see him in April. He's booked 2 tickets and he's still debating who he'd like to go with him. I mean, I did laugh and kind of said, oh, well, you know, perhaps I'll come with you. He said, yeah, you know, the only thing is, Mum, he said, you do have this kind of habit of then making things like a bit, you know, basically I will be kind of saying, oh, you know, you sure you want to sit there? Or, I mean, obviously the tickets will be where you're supposed to sit, but, you know, obviously I embarrass them because I say things like, you know, oh, are you sure you don't want to drink? You know, like if, say, someone came by and said, oh, you know, would you like, I don't know, if there was, say, an interval and there was someone saying, would you like a drink? And he said no, I would embarrass him by saying things like, you know, oh, are you sure you don't want to drink? I mean, why that's so embarrassing for children is beyond me, but, you know, clearly it is very embarrassing for them. So, yeah, anyway, I said, that's fine. Obviously, I realised you would have a far better time with other people. You know, and I wasn't being facetious. I realised that, of course he's going to have a better time with other people. So, you know, he will maybe go with his girlfriend, or maybe he'll go with his dad, or I don't know. We'll wait and see who he decides to go with. But, yeah, anyway, that's what he's having. Right, I'm going to just, I think, chop that off at the bottom. Just so it's a little bit easier to use. My daughter, I think I'd said, she was kind of writing her Christmas list. So, yeah, it involves lots of scented slime, scented Play-Doh, scented pens, scented this, scented that, scented the other. So, yeah, that's her list. Anything scented, as long as it smells, she'll be thrilled to bits with it. I mean, yeah, there's lots of nice things around for girls, aren't there? So, just going to glue it down here, actually. Okay. I mean, she absolutely loves all of her arts, you know, arts and craft type stuff, as you know. So, yeah, she'll be getting a few arts and crafts things. I mean, she does like toys, but she's not, you know, not a great player. You know, she would feel excited opening toys, but I'm not so sure she would necessarily play with them that much. So, you know, she's better with the arts and crafts stuff. But up in the loft, as you know, I have got my son's kitchen. You know, this is my middle son. So when he was, I think he was 3 or might have been 4, I can't actually remember now. He got a play kitchen for his birthday. And it was absolutely lovely. And he was a really good player. You know, he really made the most of playing with his toys. And yeah, just, you know, absolutely loved playing. And, you know, would play for hours and hours and hours and hours. So he had this toy kitchen, and I shall make my tab from this. Had this toy kitchen, and I mean, literally, I can't tell you how many hours of enjoyment he had from that. He absolutely loved it and played with it for years and years and years. So my daughter, obviously, you know, I just assumed she would love playing with it. Well, I have to say she doesn't really play with it. I mean, occasionally she'll bring me over, you know, things to eat, things that she's made. And you have to kind of, you know, pretend to eat them and like them and all the rest of it. But she doesn't really play with it, to be honest. So it's really turned into just a dumping ground for all of her craft things. So like in the toy oven, she keeps like paper, you know, on the stovetop, she crafts, And, you know, of course, it's got those bits that are sort of hobs. So, I mean, it's not the ideal crafting kind of area for her. So I did say this weekend, actually, you know, why don't we clear the kitchen off, you know, try and clean it up and maybe get rid of it. And actually, you know, put her a desk there or something that she can actually use and, you know, that she would enjoy more. So, you know, my husband did start doing that. So the room, I will not be showing the room in Tidy Friday. I will still be doing a Tidy Friday, but I would definitely not be going down that end of the room because it's such a tip. Because, of course, you know, like all these things, whilst you're actually doing the clear up, you have to get, you know, worse before it gets better, don't you? So all of her craft things now are literally scattered about all over because, of course, you know, emptied them out of the oven, out of, you know, anything else, and they are now like all over the floor and, yeah, all over everywhere. And of course, you know, I mean, she's a bit like me. Her favourite thing is crafting. Her worst thing is probably tidying up behind her. I'd just like to say that's only with my craft things. I'm absolutely fine in any other area. So her craft stuff is all over the floor. Literally all over the floor. In fact, at this moment, I'm struggling to think what I'm actually going to do for my Tidy Friday because the room's such a mess. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure where I will actually be able to do a Tidy Friday at all. So I'm trying to think what I'm going to be sorting this week that does not go near the rest of the room. Because, of course, I can't really get to the rest of the room. So, yeah, that's what we've been doing. But, I mean, you know, it may be a few weeks before we get straight and we manage to get rid of the kitchen and then manage to find her some sort of desk or something. But it will be brilliant, you know, because she will absolutely love that. And, you know, there will be a little bit of a chance that she could keep her things slightly more organised if she actually had, like, some drawers and things. Because, you know, I mean, like all of us, you know, of course, you do need somewhere to put stuff, don't you? So, yeah, she will be much happier. And, I mean, my boys, they now, obviously, they have their PlayStation up here. So, you know, it's not like they play with the kitchen or anything like that. So, and obviously I did run it by my son first and said, how do you feel about getting rid of that kitchen? Obviously, he doesn't play with it because he's 14. But, you know, like, was there any sentimental value? I said, you know, I was happy to just put it away for him so that when he has children or anything, he could have it. But he said, no, that's fine. You know, he said, no, I've mentally parted with it anyway when I gave it to her. So, yeah, and obviously he's horrified and mortified that she doesn't really look after it. At which point I often go through the whole thing about when I was younger and I gave my Barbies to my sister, my younger sister, and she clearly didn't look after them as well as I used to, and subsequently she, like, cut all their hair and, yeah, you know, in my opinion, just kind of trashed them, and, you know, I was kind of horrified, but, yeah, so you had to listen to that kind of story all over again, but... Right, might do one here with my Victorian florals. Again, just best check that envelope's not the right way. Yeah, so that's kind of that. But yeah, I do have more shopping to do, unfortunately. Well, I don't mind, to be honest, I don't mind. And then at the weekend, my eldest son, he was working the whole weekend. Bless him. He probably feels knackered and like he's had no weekend. Well, of course, he's had no weekend. Oops. Yeah, I did cut that one a bit short, but oh well, doesn't really matter, to be honest. Yeah, he didn't really have a weekend because he was working, but he worked Saturday and Sunday. So my youngest son, he worked on Sunday. So on Saturday, I mean, they'd forecast that the weather was not going to be very nice, but actually the weather was lovely. It was very, very cold. Although the temperature said it was about, I think it said about 10 degrees, it felt like about 6. It was very, very cold wind. But it was one of those lovely, bright, sunny, you know, beautiful winter days. So again, we just went down to the beach, had a lovely walk along there. You know, met my parents as well for the walk. So, you know, then we had a flask of hot chocolate on the beach with them. So that was really nice. And then Sunday, what did we do yesterday? Well, the weather was a lot worse. It was much more how they said it was going to be. You know, I mean, we were lucky to get the one day of good weather, weren't we? Yeah, Sunday was not very nice weather. It was like raining the whole day. So we literally, because it was just the three of us, my husband and my daughter and me. So that was when the, you know, the clear out started for her, you know, for clearing the kitchen, the toy kitchen. So yeah, that took quite a bit of time in the morning. And then I think it was kind of in the afternoon, we just, well, we were so lazy, we just drove to the like Costa drive-through. We didn't go through the drive-through actually, to be fair. We did actually get out and go in there. But I mean, we were parked literally right outside. So it wasn't like we got any exercise or anything going in. And then we just had a Costa and then just looked in HomeSense, our local HomeSense. That was it. That was all we did for the weekend. Or, you know, certainly for yesterday. You know, the weather was really, yeah, not great. I'm wondering whether I should have this tab, just the coffee dyed side. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that for the contrast. Oops. Okay. And then tonight, we normally have a roast dinner on a Monday night, but my eldest son, obviously he didn't see his girlfriend at all at the weekend because he was working, so he's seeing her tonight. So we said that we wouldn't have the roast dinner tonight because he would miss it. And it's everybody's favourite food, you know, favourite dinner of the week. So we said that we would wait and we will shift that probably to Tuesday and have it on Tuesday. So I'm not sure what dinner we're going to have tonight. Oh, and the big news, I don't know whether I said this last week. I hope I'm not repeating myself. I may be. Can't remember from one day to the next, to be honest. But my middle son, he's been a vegetarian for about 5 years now. He's started eating meat. Yeah. Literally last weekend, I think it was, that he suddenly... Well, he'd obviously been thinking about it for a while. Oops, I forgot to put glue there. He'd been thinking about it for a while and, yep, he's decided to start eating meat. So he now is with my husband. Well, all of them eat meat except for me, to be fair. So it's funny, though, because my middle son actually, you know, when he was kind of small, we often used to say, oh, I think he might be going to be a vegetarian, because he never really seemed to like meat very much. Well, he absolutely loves it now. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be a vegetarian again. My daughter, however, she kind of not so fussed these days. I mean, obviously she likes the processed meat, you know, like sausages and the rubbish, you know, chicken nuggets and things like that. But she's not keen, you know, like if we were having a roast and they have roast chicken, she's not so keen on that, to be honest. I think she finds it very dry. But who knows? Okay. And then TV-wise, I've just been watching odds and ends, really, of things. There was a programme called, I think it was A Dingo Took My Baby. And, I mean, actually, I can kind of vaguely remember that sometimes being on the news, things about that, I think. I mean, I would have been pretty tiny, you know, pretty young when it would have been on the news. But I mean, obviously it must have gone to court several times, I think, judging by the documentary that was on last week. But a true, you know, true story, obviously, about, you know, a baby being taken by a dingo, which, I mean, I had to Google what a dingo was because I wasn't quite sure what that was. But apparently it's a wild Australian dog. So, yeah. So I watched that. That was a 2-part thing. So I watched that. I think it was Monday and Tuesday night. What else did I watch? Can't remember. I watched something similar to that, I think, on the Wednesday night. I can't think what. Something, you know, equally as morbid as my husband would say. Oh gosh, I think it was, there's someone over here on the TV called Susanna Reid. She is like a, you know, news kind of presenter or news program presenter. And she was doing, oh, I can't remember now what they called it, what the series, well, it wasn't a series, it was a one-off. I think it was a one-off, unless there's going to be another one this week. Sorry, I'm just deciding which papers to use for my last one. So she did I think what was going to be a one-off last week. And I can't remember now what it was called. It might have been called Women Behind Bars, I'm thinking. Yeah, it might have been called Women Behind Bars. I'm just wondering whether I should make another one, but use this. Oh, I don't know. No, I'm not so keen on that, I think. I've got this brown. That's quite nice. Quite like the brown. So I might as well just use some more of this and make another one in this, I think. So, yeah. Yes, I don't know whether it's going to be like, you know, another one this week. But anyway, it was Women Behind Bars. Now, I can't for the life of me remember the lady's name who was the woman on the programme. But she has been accused of, you know, killing her children. And I think she's been on death row for 23 years or something. But, I mean, I don't really know much about the, you know, the system and how it works. But I think, like, she's had appeals which have kind of stalled her, you know, her date for her execution, I think. So, yeah, not been watching that. It was just a one-off, you know, programme. So I've watched that. I mean, obviously it's very horrible, all of these things. So you don't know what to think, you know, in situations like that. I mean, absolutely terrible if, you know, if she's innocent to be actually on death row after already, you know, losing your children. But, you know, I don't know. But, I mean, all these programmes, they're very interesting to watch. And, you know, of course, it's always kind of quite, well, I guess eye-opening to give you sort of a bit of empathy for, you know, when other things happen. You know, if you've watched kind of similar things or heard about similar things, it kind of just makes you slightly more open-minded, doesn't it? You know, when other things happen. But yeah, so that's what I had watched a couple of the nights. And then what else did we watch? We watched a couple of cheesy Netflix Christmas films, which, yeah, I mean, actually they are cheesy, but so long as you accept them for what they are, you know, they're going to be cheesy. They're just cheesy Christmas movies, but, you know, they've all been quite good, to be honest. We watched The Christmas Prince. And lo and behold, there was actually a part 2, which was the royal wedding from The Christmas Prince, which we haven't watched that yet, but I think we're going to watch that one night this week. I mean, they're just kind of those things that we watch a bit, you know, after school, before dinner, or, you know, whilst I'm sort of cooking dinner. Well, my husband's cooked quite a bit recently, actually, so that's quite handy because, you know, he's working from home, so he's been doing the cooking a little bit more because previously he didn't really cook ever. But I think he's actually quite enjoying it, and, you know, of course, I'm loving not having to cook. I know I've said before, but I mean, I go through phases where, you know, sometimes I really, really enjoy cooking, but I mean, it's different when you have to cook every single day, isn't it? And even worse when then everyone's so ungrateful when they sit down to eat. You know, that's just no fun at all, is it? I don't know whether I'm quite brave enough to do this. It's, I mean, I could have still got the little scrap, I think, from that other tab. Which, of course, now I can't see anywhere. I thought I had a little scrap from that tab. Perhaps I threw it away. Oh, I don't know where that's gone. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm quite brave enough. Let's just see if I had a matching tab. Or perhaps I should just do that and have a black tab. I think I'm going to do that and just have a black tab. Not quite brave enough to actually have the black. So yeah, I'm going to just snip off the bottom of here. Don't obviously need the whole bottom, but just a little bit. And I'm just going to make the tab from that. And I mean, we're still just missing the cinema being open so much. I mean, honestly, you know, we used to go to the cinema so often, you know, every week we used to go. And yeah, it's really, really, really been such a shame without it being open, to be honest. But yeah, it is what it is. Oops. And punch that. Okay, and then this one. Okay. Don't know whether this might be a bit too big. I feel like it's a little bit on the big side. Well, it might be okay, but I might just cut it down slightly. Okay. Okie dokie. Oh, and thank you so much to everyone who's been, you know, watching my advent calendar series and things. You know, I mean, I do realise it's not kind of craft-alongs or anything like that. You know, so it's not going to really be of interest to everybody, but hopefully, you know, you're kind of enjoying it despite that. I mean, I have started trying to upload more videos because I'd had a couple of messages where, you know, people were saying that they were kind of, you know, missing my kind of craft-alongs, which, you know, that's so kind of you. Thank you so much. But, I mean, I'd stopped kind of putting them on because I, you know, so much whilst I was doing the advent calendar, because I just thought, oh, my gosh, people were thinking, oh, she's back again. Another video, back again. And I didn't want to kind of just bore the life out of everyone, really. But, yeah, I've tried to now sort of mix it up where there's some days with and some days without, really. So, yeah. Right. Let me check the time. Oh, my goodness me. Oh, it's okay. Oh, honestly, my eyesight's so terrible these days. I looked and I thought it said 50 minutes, but it actually only says 48, I think. But yeah, for a moment I thought, oh my gosh. Well, I mean, 48 is pretty much 50, isn't it? But I guess psychologically, when I saw the 5, I thought, oh my goodness, we're nearly done. We're nearly time up. I mean, not really because my camera cuts out, but, you know, I try and keep the videos to approximately an hour, but I've done terribly lately. And several times I've had videos that have been really long. So I'll try and just keep this to approximately an hour. Obviously, that's famous last words. Probably, this will probably end up really long now, just because I've said that. Right, there we go. So we have made 5, or I have made 5. You possibly have done better than me and made more. So So I just pull them back in. So aren't they just lovely? Okay, so I think I'll just decorate up one. Might as well just decorate this one up that we've just done. So obviously that just opens like that. And then obviously I've got here my flap. And what we could do then is we could just have another pocket. And this is just obviously one of those scraps, you know, left over. But I could make that a little pocket here. Just need to kind of straighten it up down the edge slightly. Oops. Like that. Okay, so I'll just, and then that covers up as well that, you know, that flap where I made that hinge. It covers that up as well, which is quite handy. So it has like a double purpose there. So just then glue that down. Okay, it's always great when you can use up the little bits to just do some extra pieces, isn't it? Because then, you know, you've been really efficient and you've used the entire sheet of paper, which is brilliant. Okay, and the schools are actually finishing here on Thursday this week, so yeah. The children will be home after that, you know, for the Christmas holidays. Okay, so let's just decorate it up here. So I'm just going to pop that into there. It's so pretty, isn't it? It's just, oh, what lovely little faux front envelopes these are. Right, I'm having a look around on my desk to see what I've got left over from something else that, you know, would just be ideal. What have I got? I've got that window. That's kind of quite nice, isn't it? And we've got these. They're a bit long. They'd be better for a tag, really. These are just literally left over from some other bits and pieces that I had been using. But this actually is probably quite good because it's got the black, which ties in with the black for the tab. So we could have that kind of there. And then I've got, I think this is grey lace here. But maybe the grey might be quite nice for a change. No, I don't think it goes quite well enough. Let me just see. Oh, come on, I must have some black lace here somewhere. Always got black lace. No, always except for today, would you believe? No black lace in there. Right, let me just go to my drawer of lace. Okay. Right, I've actually got some soft net here that I'd received in Happy Mail as well. So just wondered whether I could put that on some net as well. Okay, let's just chop that around. Now, do we want to double that up? This is really fine net. It's very sort of delicate. I don't think I've really ever seen this kind of delicate net before. Right, so I'm just going to chop that down like that. And then I'm just going to cut around it so it's not quite so ginormous. Otherwise it's like huge. Okay. And we'll just put that there. That's, oh, quite nice. And I'm just going to hold that down for a minute. Right, I'm just going to hot glue this down. I mean, this probably is not really ideal because this is just a sort of thin page from a book, but obviously it's quite handy because it just then holds that net down. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. You know, saves me having to do anything else. So there we go. It's quite nice, isn't it? Let me just put this net back. Just trying to be tidy as I go. Okay. Right, so I've got this lace, or I have got this one. I mean, that's quite pretty. Let me just see this one. Oh, that one's prettier, I think. Hold on. Yeah, I think I'll go with the other one. Okay, so we're going to go with this one. Now, somebody told me about this fantastic tip that they'd seen on somebody's channel, and unfortunately she couldn't remember whose channel it was, so I can't give credit or anything, but I'm going to try this. Now, this is super messy, so I do apologise if you're all a little bit sort of tidier and, you know, better with not getting messy, but it doesn't really bother me getting messy. She said that this lady, she put glue on the back of her hands for lace that's very holy, and then she just, you know, dabbed the lace into the glue that was on her hands. And obviously, what a fantastic idea, because, you know, you're not then applying the glue to the lace, but you are then getting lots of glue on the lace, if you see what I mean. So I'm just going to do that and just going to kind of drag that through like that. Oops, perhaps I should have used my tacky glue really rather than the Fabri-Tac, because that's quite messy glue. But that's quite a good technique, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. Thank you so much. And I can't remember now. I only read the comment this morning, so I do apologise. I can't remember who mentioned that to me. I do really apologise. I'm so shocking with names, and yeah, I obviously hadn't been intending to do this, so, you know, I hadn't kind of made a mental note of, you know, I must remember your name. But yeah, what a brilliant technique. So very, very handy to try and remember that. I will try. I do have a memory like a sieve, so yeah, I possibly will forget. But and then I'm just going to have a little bit of bling, I think, on this one. Like that. Oops, not quite like that. Oh dear, that was not great, was it? And then we could just have a little word or something on there. So let me just have a look in my little container. Just twist it round, because what have I got? Oops. What does this say? Beauty. Okay, let's just ink that up. This is actually being coffee dyed, so it's quite dark already, but there we go. That looks pretty, doesn't it? So I'll just pop that on there. Gorgeous. And then, of course, you could just decorate the back as well, because, you know, you may want to just have this kind of paper clipped in. So if we were doing the back as well, if I just grab my Victorian floral paper again. So maybe, I mean, if this were paper instead of card, I would possibly line the inside of the envelope. But the other thing that we could do is we could actually cut these flowers out. Or we could have even torn them out, to be fair. But we'll cut these out, because I don't necessarily want the whole envelope covered, you know, because obviously this is quite thickish, you know, it's printed on card. So rather than make it really thick and bulky, I will just cut out just the flowers, and we could just kind of have them somewhere, maybe here. So it's got like the continuity from the front, but it's not smothered, you know, with loads and loads of things. I've also got these ones. Let's just have a look. Right, well, I might as well, now I'm here, I might as well just cut out, you know, all that I can. So we'll just cut these ones like that. Whoops. Right, let me just get rid of that. It's a bit cumbersome cutting around there. Oh, and also we've got obviously an elf on the shelf, you know, and it's tricky remembering when you're rubbish like me with your memory like a sieve, remembering to move your elf, you know, or yeah. So I don't want to say too much, obviously, for obvious reasons. But needless to say, on Saturday, because the routine was kind of different, you know, he got forgotten. Because normally he's like on my radar when I first get up. And on Saturday, of course, I was a little bit later getting up. I mean, I still kind of have the same routine, but it's all just a bit later and a bit more relaxed. So, yeah, I kind of wasn't really in the same zone. And my daughter said, "Oh, he's not moved." So I said, "Oh, perhaps he fancied a day off today. You know, perhaps that's why." Anyway, later on, luckily, he decided obviously to be hanging through the letterbox. And I said, oh, he was obviously just, you know, waiting till somebody had kind of been out the door so that he could, you know, try and kind of get through the letterbox. So, yeah, she thought that was fun. Luckily, she thought that was fun. Right, now, am I overdoing it by having all those flowers? I think probably that's like enough. Just deciding, do I want to cut these leaves off? Just because I'm rubbish and I would probably end up, you know, tearing that off a bit. So I'm thinking, shall I just cut this down and we'll just have like the flower on there? Just makes it a little bit more durable and less likely to be damaged, I think. So yeah, I think I'll do that. And then I think what I'll do is just stamp around, maybe with, I'm just having a quick look in my drawer. Yeah, just stamp around with some text or something on here. Well, perhaps I'll just use this one. I have to be careful because I did use this the other day for green stamping. So as you can see, still got some green on there. So I just need to be a little bit careful because I don't necessarily want green all over here. And I think I will use at the bottom of my pile, you know, because I've got all my inks now really nicely layered, which is fantastic. But at the bottom, the very bottom of the stays on, which of course it would be at the bottom, wouldn't it, is my memento in my toffee crunch. So I think that's what I want to use. So that's just, and again, just stamping this off a couple of times here just to make sure it's not, you know, coming out like really green or anything. And as you can see, it is coming out quite green. So yeah, right, probably should just wipe this with a baby wipe, to be honest. It would maybe take some green off. Okay, well, it's getting better now. So okay, right, so I'm just going to do a little bit of rough stamping on here. So a bit here, a bit over there, and maybe down here, and then maybe a little bit over here. Yeah, just so it's got a little bit more interest. And I mean, actually, there is a titchy bit of green on there. I mean, really, it's barely visible, but it doesn't matter because there's obviously the green from the leaves. So, I mean, I don't really mind that, to be honest. And all I'm going to do is just glue my flowers down like that on the back of the envelope. So this one here. Oops. Trying to get as much onto that flap as possible so as it's not quite so vulnerable to being, you know, damaged. Those little bits that are hanging off. Like that. Okay, and then these ones here, or do we want these ones? I mean, it really doesn't matter too much, to be honest. They're not vastly different. But actually, just before I do that, I'm just wondering whether we could just have a little bit of black lace hanging out somewhere as well. So oops, or maybe down there. yeah, that's quite nice. So I might just have the lace kind of over a bit so as it's hanging out beyond the flower. I did say I was going to use the tacky glue, didn't I, for doing this little technique, but never mind. Okay, I'll just put that down there like that. And then we can just glue these flowers on. Again, I'll just use that Fabri-Tac because obviously they're going over the lace now, so. Like that. Okay, yay. So they're on like that. Aren't they just gorgeous? So I love how that looks. It's so, so pretty. And yeah, I really like both sides. They're just gorgeous. And then obviously inside we have our little pocket here for a journaling card, and then we've got more journaling space in there as well. So just love them. So yeah, as I say, not my idea. So Gayle, if you do stumble across this video, honestly, thank you so much. They are absolutely lovely. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have fun if you decide to make some. And, you know, again, I mean, I'd love to see pictures and things on maybe our Facebook group, or, I mean, on Instagram, although I'm pretty shocking at not really going on there enough. But, yeah, maybe in our Facebook group, you could post your pictures there or something. That would be fantastic. So thank you so much and have a great time. Thanks then. Bye.